Okay, so I'm going to show you how I scrape and spray my shelves with kiln primer. Um, so the tool I'm going to be using to scrape my shelves is this, it's a Stanley scraper. So it's just a plastic holder that just takes one of those Stanley blades, which can be quite sharp. This one's been used heaps, so I can happily run my finger down it without cutting myself. So just pop that back inside the holder, and now we're ready to scrape. So my shelf that you can see here, it's been used for 3 firings, so I wouldn't risk it again for another one. So I'm now going to scrape it all off. So I'm going to leave it dry and I'm going to scrape it off as it is here. So I've just set it on a piece of scrap paper so I can scrape it off onto the paper, and then once all the primer is off, I can fold that paper off and dispose of it in a nice tidy manner. So ensure you're wearing your dust mask for this. You know, the dust that comes off kiln primer can be a little nasty, so make sure you're masked up. I'm wearing an apron as well, just so I don't get any of that dust all over my clothes. So yeah, I'll begin scraping, and it's a really simple process. So just angle up your shelf, and as you can see, comes off really easy. So the scraper just takes all of that off nice and evenly. So scrape right down to your edges. Being careful not to gouge with your scraper into the shelf, because any potential gouges in your shelf could cause you problems with future firing. So once you've done, just flip your shelf around and scrape away the opposite edge. So it comes off like a dream. It's not baked on. So once all that's removed, I just lift it up and just brush off any excess. Now that lovely de-primed shelf is now ready to take and coat with a fresh coat of kiln primer. Okay, so I've brought my kiln shelf all freshly scraped outside, placed it on a table just on a couple of bits of old metal just so it's easier to lift off. It's laying flat, so I have my spray gun, which is connected by an air hose to my compressor, which is purring away in the background. So it's a gravity fed spray gun. We only need to really fill to about halfway of the reservoir to do a shelf of this size. So I just drop that down. So I have my pre-mixed kiln wash, which usually they say 1 part to 4 to 5 parts water. So I go 1 part to 4 parts water and then add a little, so it's a little bit thicker than it would be if you were painting it on with a hake brush. And because it's been in there for a little while, just give it a little shake, just so all that sediment on the bottom mixes in with the liquid. Right, now I'll pour that into my spray gun. So they say about halfway into the reservoir should be enough. Screw the top tightly back on, and before you start, just test your spray just to make sure you've got the right kind of amount coming out and it's not too fine, it's not too clumpy. You just want a nice fine spray. So you do have adjustments on these type of gravity fed air guns, so you don't want the maximum pressure of air coming through, just about a medium kind of pressure coming through, but you'll be able to judge that. So So yeah, that's coming through fine. So I'll now go ahead and spray the shelf. So try and get nice even coverage, not forgetting those edges. So that's now covered. As you can see, that pink coverage is covering the shelf evenly. I'll just leave it outside in the Manchester sun, making sure it's not going to rain, just for it to dry off a little bit before I'll take it in, put it inside the kiln and just burn it off and get rid of any moisture up to about 500 degrees C. Then once that comes out, just burnish the top surface with the palm of your hand, just to get rid of any kind of high spots, blow off the excess, and then your shelf is ready to be used for a project. So I hope that helps.